Whips in the Dungeon. We're going to continue our playlist on two-handed work, and today we're going to discuss matched sets of whips or matched sets of toys as compared to mismatched sets, and actually why sometimes you would want a mismatched set as compared to a matched set, and why most of the time you want a matched set. So to start that discussion, I've got two 4-foot Peter Jack bullwhips. They're both made by the same whip maker, Peter Jack. They're both 4-foot. If you look at these though, this one is 4 inches shorter to the keeper than this one. And the one that's 4 inches longer also has a longer fall. So if I go with total length of whip, even though they're both 4 foot, to the tip of the cracker, one of these whips is a good 8 inches longer than the other whip. So imagine you're throwing two-hand bullwhips, and one of these whips is 8 inches longer than the other whip. Now, if all I'm doing is sport cracking, and I'm just out in the park and I'm cracking a pattern and doing some fancy cracks, it's not going to matter that much if one of them's 8 inches longer, although it would change my timing a little bit. But if I'm doing contact work and trying to actually create different sensations and I'm targeting someone's back, then I really can't be throwing a whip that's mismatched by, or two whips that are mismatched by 8 inches. Okay, I could choke up on one 8 inches so that the effective length is the same and they're equal, but you can easily see that is going to be a challenge in itself because I'm throwing one bullwhip choked up while I'm not choked up on the other one. I just added another dimension of difficulty. And the last thing you want to do when you're playing contact work with someone back or butt is have to constantly be thinking about adjusting while you're throwing two whips at the same time. So I don't recommend throwing mismatched whips. I'm going to show you the exception to that, because if I'm throwing a 3-foot signal whip and a 3-foot dragon tail, and they're both exactly the same length, right? I could throw this 3-foot signal and the 3-foot dragon tail horizontally and with pretty good accuracy. You can see I already got them tangled. That's another problem with throwing mismatched whips. So I'm going to put the heavier one under and the lighter one over. I'll have a little less chance of tangling them. But you could throw a mismatched dragon tail signal whip, and that would give you a variation of sensation, because this is going to feel a certain way when it comes across as opposed to the signal whip feeling a certain way when it comes across. If I'm throwing two signals and I don't have them that are mismatched, well, I do have them. Let me start. Here I've got two signals that are mismatched. This one's a 5-foot signal, which I actually don't recommend anyone buying a 5-foot signal, and a 3-foot signal. So if I choke up on the 5-foot signal at about the 24-inch point so that they're both about the same length, okay, then I could throw those, not very well, but I could at least have two signals that are about the same length. I'm hoping you see in the demonstration the difficulty of throwing mismatched whips. So we want, what we are saying is it's much, much easier to throw two-handed with a matched set. Now this is a matched set of Peter Jack 4-foot bullwhips. By matched set, I mean when he plaited these, he hung these whips side by side, and a whip maker plats a few strands on the right-hand side and plaits a few strands on the left-hand side, so that these are actually growing together as they're plaited. And you can see from the heel to the fall hitch, they're exactly the same length, okay? The falls were cut together side by side from the same piece of leather, so they're the same length. So now when I'm throwing a match set, it's truly a match set, and it's going to roll out to the same geometric radius, and I'll have at least a prayer's chance to do contact play with someone without having to constantly adjust. So my recommendation is not to start with a match set of bullwhips, but to start with a match set of signal whips or dragon tails made by the same maker that are the same length, say 3 foot, 2 3-foot or 2 4-foot dragon tails. And then once you've mastered signal whips and you're interested in matched bullwhips, you can move up to a match set of 3-foot or 4-foot bullwhips. These are 4-foot bullwhips by the same maker. But when plaited whips are made as a match set, they're made at the same time and plaited together so that they're as close to each other as possible. There will be some subtle differences, but very close. I can throw these, I can switch hands and throw these, and I feel very little difference between the two whips. So that's it. That's it for a match set. If you don't own a match set, then and you're throwing mismatch, then mismatch a couple of signals or mismatch a signal and a dragon tail for practice, and start saving your pennies to order your first match set of signal whips. As always, thanks for watching The Leather Journey. Give us a thumbs up.